The things you gotta do sometimes just to get the piston kind of compressed so you can get the cage spring in. Yep, couple of clamps did the job. Got the clip right in there. So never give up. Alright, we'll finish up this forward drum here. We can stick that in there. Everything's going pretty well and all that. Just taking my time double checking everything. Alright, so this is all back together. I actually had to install this guy here, the part of the forward drum, because this piece here, no matter how many times I tried to put it in there, I couldn't get it to line up with all the clutches. And you can see it's got to go down. The top part of this, it's got to go even with this and the case. It's got to be exactly even, because if you don't get it all the way down in there, you can't put your pump on your cover on here. This is the problem I had a little while ago. It kept hanging up. Now you can see it goes flush on there. This thing sticks up about like that. Your clutches aren't all the way lined up on your spline. So now you can see it sits flush. So just so you know, that took me 25-30 minutes just to get that aligned. So you might have to just go ahead and take out, pull this up a little bit, and put all this on this, then drop the unit in a little bit on the back side there. There's two pieces. So anyway, I'm learning as I go, but that is done. Yay. And don't forget your bearing and your little retainer down there that kind of centers it up and all that. So alright, and for the record, we got our bolts started there, and now we're getting ready to put our pump in. And just for the record, mine turned out pretty good. It didn't really have a lot of scratches in it, so pretty good there. So I still went on ahead and updated this, bought a new one for like $13. This is anodized and all that. The old one, the silver one here, I don't know if you can see it or not. I think I showed this earlier. It has a lot of scratches on it. I think you can see that. So yeah, this is aluminum and it scratches easy. This here is a little bit tougher, so we're getting ready to stick that in here and all that. Anyway, maybe you can kind of see down there. I got some oil in there, but you can see it's pretty scratch free, pretty smooth in there, surprisingly. I thought it would be a lot worse, but compared to some of the other ones I've seen online, this one's actually pretty good. So alright, we'll stick this in here and all that. All together. Chain in, put the clip on underneath of this, and it worked out fairly well, and it turns freely. You can see that. But I got my pen in. Whatever you do, if you're working on this, and this pen's in here, if you pull it out, hang on to it. Don't let it fall down in there like I did. What a mess that was. I had to flip the case over, take these gears out, and finally it fell out. So be careful, very careful with this pen. If you have to flip it over or anything, keep an eye on it. Everything else is torqued, and we're good. All we gotta do now is put the cover on over there. I'll go ahead and put some silicone on here. I'm going to replace the converter seal, but other than that, everything else is good. And over there's our bolts all lined up, ready to go back together. But for now, let's go ahead and put some gasket maker on here and get this set up. Alright, it's another day, and the next day we got all of our silicone on here, gasket maker material all the way around, and the case is clean. All we gotta do is spin it around, drop it on there. Pin's still in there, don't lose that sucker. Chain is perfect and all that good stuff. So we'll go ahead and drop that case on, and I'm just shooting some video here just for my own reference so I can go back and look. All the shields are on, and you can turn everything, and when you flip this apart, it locks it up in there. You can hear the thing go clunk. So we're good. Alright, let's get this case on. Alright, she's all back together. Got my seal in there and all that, and I got some deep purple and some oven cleaner mixed. That's what I usually use. It gets the case pretty clean. So we'll let that soak a couple hours. Really, the only thing I have to do is put the torque converter in over there, but I've got to figure out now how to get it on my jack stand and be able to get it up under here, because I don't think this car's going to be high enough. It's 2.5, it's 2 feet now, it's 1, a little over 2 feet, but I'm gonna need about 3 foot clearance because that jack stand, transmission puller. Try this again. Transmission jack stand is about 6 inches high to begin with, so this thing's about 2 feet just on the floor flat. And that's without the valve body and the valve pan. So anyway, all done. We're going to let her clean up and soak, and hopefully we'll get it back in and we'll take it for a first ride. So we'll let this sit for a while. It'll at least look like it's clean, right? Alright, so we got all the case bolts tight and torqued and all that good stuff, and now we got the valve body put on. Got a nail in there that holds that little flapper arm, and there's a spring in there. If you have these off, make sure you don't lose that little spring, because I almost did. But that spring holds that little flapper on the other side. It's a ratio on the step motor or something, I'm not sure. But yeah, it went in fairly easy. The trick is to get your rod lined up with your valve body as you set it down on there. And this will just fall right in. And you can almost see that under there when you're putting that in there. But anyway, we're getting it together slowly. Unhook the wire from the ROM and all that. Put the wiring harness back in first, because it's a lot less hassle with this just kind of hanging out here, and you can reconnect this, because if you try to put all this in with the wiring harness here, it's kind of a hassle, gets in the way. But everything's going pretty good, and I'm looking at torque specs. I think it's like 8 to 12 inch-pounds, not much on these bolts. And the only short one you got when you put this back in here is this. See, which one is it? I think it's this one here. All of these other bolts that we took out are all the same length. So just this one, I believe, right here. It's a little short one. So I'm going to finish up here. I'm going to clean up the oil pan, and may paint it red. I'm not sure where it's at. It's under there somewhere. But look at that. Not very many parts left. We'll see if it runs. But anyway, finish up and do some more. Alright, so I had to take one bolt out, and it actually goes back over here, on this side over here. And now all of our bolts are torqued down now and all that, and all you gotta do is torque this here down. And do yourself a favor, put a cloth or something right here, because I can't tell you how many times I've dropped a socket and actually fell in there. So, you know, make sure you have a magnet or something to fish stuff out, or just like I said, put a cloth around here so if you drop something, you don't have to worry about, you know, turning the transmission back around and wiggling it and trying to get it in and out, all that. So other than that, I'm pretty much done with this. I gotta just hook up a couple of wires here real quick and put the oil filter on, and then go ahead and clean up the oil pan. But this is serious, guys. Don't drop anything in here, because I can't tell you how many people I've heard stories, horror stories. So this is very, just, you know, when you're doing this valve body, make sure you just got it all covered up all around it, because you don't want to drop anything in there. Alright, I'll go ahead and torque this down, and I'll go ahead and get the oil pan on. And I cleaned it up a little bit, but I don't think that aluminum's going to come much cleaner. But it may, as I'm driving it, going through the rain and water and all that, puddles and stuff, it might splash up on it. Clean it off a little bit, but we're getting there. And don't forget, just when you're about ready to be done, take your pin out, your little ratio nail, whatever. Do not leave that in there. There's the hole for it right there. Right there. So, alright, just so you know. Alright, valve body's together, filters on, gaskets on, and we painted this, sanded it down best we could, just to make it look good. So, also, torque converter. I got the new bushing in. Let me just give you a tip. If you ever have to replace any of these Nissan bushings, buy them from Nissan, because you have to freeze these in a freezer and put them in and knock them in pretty fast. Because if you try to do an aftermarket one, just trying to drive it in, it is pretty tough. But this one's in. I've already had it in the torque converter in here and all that. It went in, no problem. and all that. So I cleaned it up with some 420 sandpaper. Just lightly got the high places down on it, but yeah, not a very big bushing. I mean, it's really small. So anyway, 21N, whatever that means, I have no idea. And there's another number there. Maybe I can kind of get that for a reference. I don't know. Might need it someday for something. If you can kind of see it there. Not sure what that is. But anyway, this is probably the last clip I'm going to be doing. The next clip, when we come back, it'll be running. And we'll be driving it and making sure everything seems to be okay and all that. So I just got to put the oil cooler right here on it. Not a big deal. And I lost my little clip that goes here. I got to find it. Not sure where it went, but it's here somewhere. I got the cables hooked up and all that. Boy, a lot of work, but it wasn't as complex as I thought. The biggest issue was having the right tools and getting some of the parts apart and all that. But there's a lot of videos on YouTube, step by step, on how to do that. In our silicone gasket maker, it looks like it's pretty well dry and all that. Seals are all good. None of them leaked before. So anyway, it's my first remount. This will be my first rebuild on a CVT. We'll see how it goes here, but I did spray cleaner all over it. And it's kind of cleaning up a little bit, but I think over time it'll clean up on its own a little bit more while driving it. But anyway, so this is pretty much the last video clip here. Kind of set that up like this. I like the little guide pins they have right there, and all that. And you can see the setting on there, really nice. All that. So anyway. So that's wish me luck, and I'll cross my fingers here, and hopefully I'll put everything back together right, and we'll stick it in, and when we'll come back on the next clip, we'll look at it, listen to it run, and see if I did everything okay. So let's see how it goes. Hey, let me know where you're watching from right now. And also, one last thing on this torque converter, I usually don't stick it in until I get the transmission up under the car and on the jack and kind of lift it up. Then I'll grab the torque converter and slide it in the transmission. Even on the 4L60Es, I usually take the bell housing off, leave the bell housing off until I get the transmission up under the vehicle. Then I bolt the bell housing on, then put the torque converter in, then put the transmission up in the engine, because it's just a lot less heavier, you know, a lot less weight you have to deal with while you're trying to get the transmission up under there in case you have a tight place. But anyway, yeah, I'll put this on last once I get the transmission up in there and all that. Alright folks, one final thing here before we shut this video off and come to the next clip, hopefully where it's running and driving. Under here, if you saw earlier in the video, if you watched the entire video, you saw when I pulled this transmission apart, well, the CVT apart, this torque converter here got stuck up in here. So what you might want to do, I took my grinder and some sandpaper and kind of cleaned this up a little bit. And now it goes right up in there, no problem. And I've got my bolt here, white paint on it. And I got white paint on this back side. That's how it came apart. And I just tested it and it fits in there really, really good. So I had trouble getting it out, if you saw earlier in the video. But make sure you clean that up. And if you have a problem, you might want to do the same thing. So there we go. And I guess we'll go ahead and see if we can get this in here, and it's pretty easy to get back in. Just a lot of stuff you got to hook up, and I'm going to try to get my transmission jack under here with a CVT on it somehow, and get some bolts in it, and get the motor mount, transmission mount in it right about up there, and boy, I'll be really, really happy. So it's a lot of work, but it may be worth it here. Alright, so here's some bonus footage I'll just throw in here real quick before we go to put this in. There's my transmission jack. This is really too big. I had a smaller one that worked perfectly from Harbor Freight. I'm still looking for one. Hopefully I can find one on Facebook Marketplace for about $100 or so. But I got my two straps on here, and it's pretty much Not the best straps in the world, but you know, it's better than nothing. But pretty tight, and I got it under the hand there, under the plate. I actually lifted it up there by myself. It's just heavy enough for me to get it, but you can see it's going up, and I want to double check my straps real quick. You can look too. Yeah, we're good under there. Straps look really good. Almost went around this, didn't want to do that, but so yeah, it's up just a little bit, but you can see all the way down. It's still pretty high, so I'm probably going to go in on this side and somehow go in this way, because this plastic piece will move out, and I think it will just go through there with me wiggling it, taking my time, saying maybe a few bad words. But that's the setup. Got to do what you got to do in your little garage, right? All right. See you back here, hopefully with some good news. Once I took the splash guard out, lots of clips, one big piece all the way around, and all that, and they all break, so you might want to order you some new ones. Very thin piece of plastic splash guard, and there it is. I just had enough room to get it in there between the strut here. I pushed it forward, just enough clearance there, and look at that. I can turn it around now. I got my torque converter already in. We're good there. Got my white piece of paint there. Got my paint up there lined up. All I gotta do now is turn it around and slowly lift it up and all that. So yep, one man band job, and I didn't break anything, so I took my time. Just take your time doing this, and make sure you have nice, you know, supports and all that. I have some I-beams under there. So hopefully when we come back here, this old Juke hopefully will be running. So I'll see you here shortly. And boom, just like that, everyone, it's all back together. And guess what? It is running great. No leaks whatsoever or anything. Been driving it for about 3-4 days now, and really no problems at all. Seems like it's going to be pretty good, although I get a buzzing sound sometimes from that new piece I put in there. I think that will go away hopefully after a while, but it doesn't really have any issues with the transmission for it to shift or anything. But for 800 bucks, hey, I guess you can't beat it, right? And a little bit of elbow grease, I guess. So let's take it for a ride and let's see how she shifts for you. Alright, so we're going to take off from a dead stop, and I want to show you just how well it shifts and everything. And once you get up about 40 miles an hour, it stays right below 2,000 RPM, which is great. That's what you want. Like I said, sometimes I hear a buzzing sound, like a, I don't know, kind of a weird sound, but it comes and goes. But I don't even know if it's a flow control valve or not that I fixed. If anybody else has had a buzzing sound when they replace one, let me know. But look at that, we're 40 and we're barely, what, 1100 RPM. What amazing difference. This is the first CVT I've ever rebuilt. So happy. So yeah, seems to be doing okay. And I have cleaned it up a little bit on the inside. It doesn't look too bad. I don't think you can see anything in here, but anyway, but so we're at 40 and we're just looks like about 1400 RPM, and that's what you want. If I punch down on it, which really I can't because I've got some cars in front of me, but I'll punch down. Look at that. Well, that turbo kicks in, I can really feel it. The world's almost 50 miles an hour there and didn't even make it to 2000 RPM. So I'm happy. This is pretty much finished. Now, if I have any problem, if that buzzing noise gets worse or or if it causes a problem with the CVT, I'll let you know. But I've heard some other forums and read some stuff and saw some other videos where people had the same problem, but it may go away. It could be that flow control valve. I don't know. It's a lot lighter. Maybe that spring is just making it vibrate. I don't know. Going back and forth, making the flow control vibrate, going back and forth. Maybe it needs a stiffer spring, I don't know, but CVT seems to like it. It's shifting just fine. Yay! Alright, so I stopped. I wanted to see if that buzz and noise was still there. It's not there. And it's like a high pitch
It comes and goes. I know it's not the power steering unit, but who knows? I just need to drive it some more, but it's running great. I can't believe how well this thing is running. So anyway, let's check one more thing here. All right, I just got back from a drive in the world's tiniest little garage. You know, hey, I made it work, you know, but anyway, it's small. It's got me through a lot. And I wanted to show you underneath, bone dry, no leaks. I'm really happy about that. Yeah, I know. I painted the oil pan on the transmission. I read, easy to see leaks. Looks like the silicon's dry now. You can see it's up here. But even the engine doesn't really have any leaks. So I think I really scored really good on this. Check the back of the pan there. Looks really good. And maybe if I go slowly here, we'll go around to the other side. So you can see that. No leaks whatsoever. I am just amazed. Usually I have a leak or two, but I guess that's what patience pays off sometimes. And the differential there, it takes 80-90 oil. Don't put transmission fluid in that. That's a separate unit on these all-wheel drives and all that. And everything seems to be pretty good, so I'm happy. Yay! So a little patience. I guess you can do just about anything, almost. But that pan does look pretty, don't it? All right, everyone. So I guess we're done test driving it. Boy, I tell you what, I couldn't have got a better deal for $800 on Facebook Marketplace. Wow. So I am really happy. So if you like this video, give it a thumbs up. And until my next video, guys, thanks for watching. And I will see you later.